A cargo vessel docked at a South African port has now become a big issue and an issue of much debate in the country, not the least due to its Russian origin. South Africa's leading opposition party has challenged the government to explain why this ship is docked at a Cape Town naval base. The Democratic Alliance says the vessel in question here is under Western sanctions. It arrived in South Africa's largest naval base at Simons Town on Tuesday. The party added that the cargo ship seems to have turned off its automatic identification system. The AIS is crucial in providing a ship's position and other information. Moreover, the Democratic Alliance says that cranes had been offloading cargo from it at night. The party says the cargo is then loaded onto trucks protected by the armed personnel. The Shadow Defence Minister says this behaviour has local residents worried. As the vessel is under sanctions by the United States and the European Union, the official also urged the Defence Minister to come out in the open regarding the vessel. The opposition wants to know why the ship is docked at a military rather than a commercial port and why there is so much secrecy surrounding it. The ship identified by local media as Lady R. It flies a Russian flag and as per the vessel tracking website, it is en route from Cameroon to Tanzania. For more on this, we are now being joined by Edwin Naidu, a political commentator from Johannesburg. Edwin, thank you so much for joining us. The first question that everybody wants to know, what is this Russian vessel doing in the waters, especially at a military port? Why the secrecy surrounding this vessel?
Well, I think, there's been huge controversy. Not for the first time. We had a similar incident last month when a very wealthy Russian business person's ship or yacht docked in Cape Town. And, you had then the government saying that it was under no obligation to turn away the yacht. As we've seen again, this time, the ship is there. Its cargo was unloaded, no details given. But, the South African Navy said that it's going to provide details on it this afternoon during the rollout parade. I think a lot more clarity will come. Although you know that, from what the opposition party has been saying, South Africa's position on Russia and the invasion, of course, of Ukraine is well documented. South Africa has adopted a contrary stance to what the US and other Western nations have done. So I think, that there's been a tacit sort of, not support, but understanding that South Africa does not want to rock the boat when it comes to Russia. You've seen that, and this vessel's come via China. Apparently, it's on its way to Tanzania. There's no details of what's on it, why it's here, and how it got here. So I think, that there's been a storm over that, and definitely, hopefully, the SA
try and get our guest back on the broadcast. There's some technical difficulty. Edwin, if you can still hear us, my second question, you're saying that there has been a history to this incident as well. But I think the biggest question right now is that the Russian vessel is actually under sanctions by the US, which of course raises alarm. So what can be said about that? What is the government expected to say on that front?
Well, the South African government is on record as saying that it's not under any obligation to sanction the vehicle because the US has done so. I think, you've seen that South Africa has adopted a very different stance compared to what other nations have done when it comes to Russia. Everyone's been vocal in condemning the war on Ukraine. South Africa has not done that. They say that the government is very committed to multilateralism, wants a negotiated settlement. And I think there's been no sort of push to tell, to try and end this. So definitely the stance from South Africa is contrary. Today at the University of Johannesburg in South Africa, there's going to be a debate on the scramble for Africa. This is viewed as, relationships or keeping the relationships alive because people know that South Africa's relations are skewed towards China and Russia. And you're finding that, there's an argument that America is involved in conflict on the continent. And South Africa doesn't want to be seen to be towing an American line. And I think you're going to get the Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs, Alvin Botas, talking on the subject, talking about multilateralism and what South Africa is going to do. I expect that this question will be put to him in terms of what's happening, who's fueling, the reasons behind it. But I think you're not going to get definite answers. There's a secrecy behind how this vessel got here, why it got here, and what's going to happen. I think it's bound to be, a number of questions from media on that when the Deputy Minister speaks at the University of Johannesburg this afternoon.
Right, Edwin, thank you so much for all those inputs. It's very clear that there are a lot of questions being raised about the presence of this ship, the Russian vessel, in these waters, in military waters, on a military port. And of course, we'll await the statement that is expected from the South African government. Thanks for joining us on the broadcast. WION World is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.